Today's discussion will be about the Nigeria Youth Investment Fund. We have with us the Honorable Minister, Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Sunday Dare. We also have the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Gabriel Aduda. Mr. Gabriel Aduda will be taking off shortly. He will start the discussion on the Nigeria Youth Investment Fund and what direction we are going in and what has been done so far. And he will also be here to answer questions that we do have on the Nigeria Youth Investment Fund. So please give us 2 minutes and we'll be inviting Mr. Gabriel Aduda. Thank you so much. And as I said, just 2 minutes. Good morning, PAMSEC, sir. Mr. Gabriel Aduda is here with us. He will begin to discuss some things around the Nigeria Youth Investment Fund and what the Ministry of Youth and Sports has for we, the young people. If you do have any questions, please do raise your hands. The next voice you will hear, or the next person to take over now, is Mr. Gabriel Aduda. Thank you so much, sir.
Sorry, I need to move around. As you are aware, I'm away in Kigali, attending the basketball championship. So if you permit me, let me just try to set up and then we'll take this. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. We can all hear you, sir. Everyone's muted, but we can hear you, sir.
Very well, thank you. Now, Honorable Minister, the management of the ministry, the management of the CBN, NISAL inclusive, great Nigerian youth, ladies and gentlemen, what we will do this morning is to try to take you through what the Youth Investment Fund is and what it isn't, such that we'll have a clear understanding, and then I'll also try to speak to some of the technicalities that have been put in place to ensure an effective delivery of the scheme. Now, the Nigerian Youth Investment Fund is a fund that has been set aside, ring-fenced, for the development of ideas, of businesses, of entrepreneurial initiatives of the Nigerian youth. Yes, we know that the fund in itself is not inexhaustible, because we have just 75 billion that was approved over a 3-year period. That means 25 billion every year. But this year, being that we started way past half the year, we got an approval for 12.5 billion that has graciously been made available for us to be able to start the process. Now, this Youth Investment Fund, I must say from the onset, is not a grant, it's an intervention, but a loan. And it is expected that whatever Nigerian youth accesses this money will have the intention, and then we'll put measures in place to ensure that they pay back, so that we can be able to perhaps round trip that around, and then it goes round and round, such that there is we'll cover as many Nigerian youth as we can. Now, what we have done since getting the approval was to set modalities in place for the operation and implementation of the fund. And what we did was to begin to look at structures around Nigeria that have had one form of government intervention or the other. We looked at their success rates, we looked at their rates of return, And then we looked at all that. And at the end of the day, we came up with the central bank as one that has been able to undertake some of these youth investment interventions. And we decided that we will work with that. Now, what that meant was we had to come together to work out a modality for implementation. And to do that, we had two committees that were set up as approved by the Federal Executive Council. The first committee was the steering committee, which was chaired or is chaired by the Honorable Minister himself, the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Sunday Dare. Other members are the Honorable Minister of Finance, the Honorable Minister Budget, the Honorable Minister Women Affairs, the Honorable Minister Trade and Investment, and the CBN Governor. Now, the steering committee sits atop and approves at policy level what this technical committee does, who are the full soldiers. And under the technical committee, we had a number of government agencies that participated and sent in representations. For us to be able to look at those, we had representation, of course, from the presidency, from the NSIA, Sovereign Investment Fund, from the Ministry of Finance, from the Budget Office, from the CBN, from NYSAL itself, and several other agencies of government. And I was privileged to have chaired the technical committee. So what we were able to come up with was an eligibility criteria that we thought will be able to cover as much as possible the Nigerian youth, and also guard against any form of abuse or misuse of the opportunities. So in a nutshell, I will just take us through very quickly what the steps for accessing these funds are. And then, of course, I will come back to tell us when we took off and where we are at the moment. So for you to access the Nigerian Youth Investment Fund, number one, you have to be between the ages of 18 and 35. And someone is wondering, how are we going to ensure that everybody that is applying is between the ages of 18 and 35? Well, very simple. As part of our modalities and setting up the systems that will help deliver this process, what we did was to key in the BVN of applicants. And with your BVN, we get your original ages, we get what it is. I mean, that gives us your data, even though it doesn't come to us in the ministry. Of course, it stays with the CBN. But what that does is that the moment you apply as a Nigerian youth, if you are below 18, it throws away your application. If you are above 35, it throws out your application. So you have to be at the time of your application between the ages of 18 and 35, which is the African Union approved age of the youth in Africa, which we also have adopted, as it gives us a wider margin as against the 15 to 29 that we're looking at earlier. So that's in place. First you apply, and then we have put together a three-step application process. First is the application that goes along. Now we have had a change of mind and or rather a change of systems to say that we implement a three-step approach. The first time we began, we had where we will first of all take in your details, do a training, and then after the training, you will go back to do the third leg of the application that now qualifies you for whatever amount of money you may have applied between 250,000 Naira and 3 million Naira, which is the cap. If you visit the ministry website, the NYSAL website or the CBN website, you'll be able to have absolute information on what the requirements are and what the eligibility criteria is. So now we have narrowed down. We started with that, but we realized that we couldn't train everyone because as I speak to you, we have about 3 million applications, and that is a lot. So we just can't train everyone when we know that we cannot service everyone. So we had to go back to the drawing board to say, okay, since we can't train everyone, what we needed to do was to look at how best to deliver this same process and ensure that we're able to capture as many eligible Nigerian youth as possible. So we came up again with another three-step process. But in this case, it begins with your application, which goes through to, in fact, filling out your business your business development forms and what have you, that tells us about your business case and all that. And we have designed that as a questionnaire because we wanted to guard against cut and paste. And so what that does is that it interrogates you, it interrogates your business, it interrogates your processes until we're able to bring out some information from you that helps us to determine eligibility or otherwise. So what this questionnaire does is it draws from you, and we are optimistic that this is actually going to cause a number of our youth to actually learn more about their businesses as they answer these questions. Now, as they do that, they feed that back into the system. So the second stage is where they are now, an assessment is now done of everything that was submitted, and then a selection is done. And with that selection, a batch is put together for training. Now, with this new process, the moment you are informed of your training, it means that you are almost close to getting the loan, because it's only the eligible ones that will now be made available for training. After training, your name will now be sent back to NYIF, where they conclude their processes, and then disbursements can now follow. So we have a three-pronged process, very straight and very simple and straightforward. And the collaterals that have been required is not too much. What we have asked is a single person. It could be a civil servant, or even if not a civil servant, we just want someone that has a BVN, someone that the bank can look at and say, look, if this person doesn't pay, we can draw our monies back from whoever he's presenting as a guarantor. And all you need is just one guarantor, nothing more. So if we're able to have that, and as you are aware, the loan itself comes with a 12-month moratorium. That is to say, it will be given you over a 3-year period. For the first 12 months, you're not expected to pay anything. And then after that, we expect you to do a repayment in the next 2 years. And of course, at an interest rate of just 5%. The truth is, there is no other place in the country that you can find that. We have tried to push that to ensure that these monies are made available for our young people to be able to push their ideas, to be able to push their entrepreneurial spirits and innovative ideas and what have you. So basically, this is where we are. So we launched out on the 13th of October by calling for applications. And like I said earlier, we've been able to pull in almost 3 million applications as at yesterday evening. And that is quite a number. So the competition is going to be very stiff. It's going to be very tight. We have received all manner of inquiries and questions and comments here and there. But the truth of the matter is that we need to first put these processes in place before running with it. And as I speak to you, I think we're getting set to roll out the first batch of our Ds sometime in the very next week, perhaps starting from Monday. That we're going to make very public, and we'll bring everybody to the knowledge of that. So I think with this, I've given a fair background of what the Nigerian Youth Investment Fund is. Permit me to once again reiterate that this is not a grant. It is a loan, and whoever benefits from it is expected to pay back so that others can also benefit from it. So basically, this is the intervention that the ministry has pushed through, received approval of it, and we are now running as we speak. So if you permit me, Kemi, I want to stop here, and I'll be happy to take any comments and questions from the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We truly appreciate that. That was very, very comprehensive. I'll now move to questions from the floor. If we have any hands raised, I can see a number of hands raised. Ahmed Abubakar, Jimo Nuruddin Kayode, Shegun Falade, and Yeshua El Sinais Sani. Okay, so I'm going to try to unmute Ahmad Ibrahim Sulaiman. So Ahmad Ibrahim Sulaiman, you may wish to unmute yourself at this point. Ahmad Ibrahim Sulaiman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great, awesome. So please, let's know what is your question.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ahmed Ibrahim Sulaiman. I'm from Kano. I'm among the beneficiaries of the Bachelor Youth Entrepreneur Program, and I even attend this certificate. My question is that the training are we going to take, is it the same thing with the one we have done, or it is different?
Ahmad,
That's
I
all
think
my
we're
question.
struggling to hear you. Maybe you try again. If we don't hear you the next time, then maybe type your question in the comment section and we'll attend to it there. So please try again. Let's see if we can hear you. Ahmad? Okay, so we are not, we
Can
don't,
hear you.
yeah, we couldn't hear you. Can you try the question again first? If we cannot hear you again, then you can put it in the comment section in the chat area. But try to give us the question again. Let's see if we can hear you.
Okay, I say that I am among the beneficiaries of virtual youth entrepreneur program, and I even obtained the certificate. So, and I once again applied for the NYIF. My question is that the training are we going to take? Is it the same, or we are going to take another training?
It's really bad. So Ahmad, you need to type your question in the comment section and then we'll take it from there. I apologize about that. Jimo Nuruddin Kayode. I've requested you to mute yourself. Jimo Nuruddin Kayode.
Hello? Okay.
Nuruddin Kayode, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Kemi. Good morning to everyone in the House, the Honorable Ministers, and to Mr. Gabriel Aduda from NYSA. My contribution today is not in terms of question per se, but based on my experience so far, which I've raised here with the Honorable Minister in the past concerning NAUSA and the NYIF. Under the eligibility of those people for the NYIF program, I think it was stated there that if you happen to apply for any federal government intervention in the past, you stand to be ineligible for the NYIF, in which I raised that day that there are various programs and various intervention by the federal government which is being pioneered through NYSA. I'm a victim of one which is called AGMI's loan, like that. For the past 1 year now, we did the registration, I did the training with an EDI, I've also undergone my interview, and up till now, there's no any feedback or there's no any progressive development so far. So based on that, and if I stand to be disqualified from something I don't even know my feet in it. So that was what I raised that day, that the Honorable Minister can help us in this situation. Since NELSA and the ministry are working hand in hand, there should be an interface whereby we can't stand to be disqualified based on what we don't even know our fate in it. So I'm putting it forward to Mr. Gabriel Aduda, since we have the opportunity of meeting you here again. With my experience, most of those people that subscribe or even apply for the AGMIS program here, that 70% of them are youth, which I can say that is more or less in line with the NYIF program also. So if we can get an opportunity based on the AGMIS program, AGMIS loan, and in the same vein, based on the ineligibility being spelled out by NYIF. So that's my question and my contribution this morning. Thank you, Madam Kemi.
Thank you so much for that. I don't know if the PERMSEC would like to answer that, or do we take some more questions before you answer, sir?
Well, it depends on how you want it. Sorry, my room is being vacuum cleaned, so it's a bit noisy. But then I just wanted to say that if you have applied for another loan from any of the government interventions, You only become ineligible if you have been paid that loan. The truth is that the fact that they have received your documentation and everything, you did the application, as long as the monies have not hit your account, you cannot be disqualified from applying for the Youth Investment Fund. It is when you receive, the moment money leaves NYSAL to you, that is when it records you have having benefited from the process. And as a result, you cannot, take on another loan. So I will expect that you're still in the clear until the money hits your account. So it has to be either way. If I were you, I will advise you to actually go ahead and apply for both, since that other hasn't hit your account yet. Is that good enough?
Thank you so much for that, sir. We have a question in the chat section.
Sorry,
the question in the chat section says, sorry, it's okay, sir, we understand. My question is, what is the duration for the loan and how long will this program go on for? That's from Innocent in
Okay, duration.
And we also have another one. So let me give you another one, sir. Okay, so the other one says, when is the training of applicants going to commence? Yes, sir. So when is the training of applicants going to commence? And when are we expecting the questionnaire? Really want to know, what is the training of people who do not have CAC?
Every Friday.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
I'm
trying to mute the last person that's
Kemi, can you please mute whoever is not on the floor? I can hear too many voices. Okay. Now, duration of the loan is 3 years, and we hope that it's going to be revolving, and our ability to go beyond 2023 will be dependent on how much people are able to actually pay back these loans. Because what we want is such that as we give out these loans and people pay them back, we take on others to benefit from the loans. So how far we're able to go will be dependent on how well people are able to pay back within the stipulated time period. And then concerning the training, as from next week, you will have better information. For those of you that had applied earlier, before the change in the process of applications, you're going to receive SMSs from us, most likely starting from Monday. And that SMS will tell you the next process, because if you had applied earlier and you are fed in your BVN, the next step, if we had gone by the old process, was to send you a batch for training. But we are no longer doing that. So what is going to happen is we're going to reach out to you through SMSs starting next week. And that will tell you that will invite you to go on with your application process. The portal will allow you to go ahead. Before now, you wouldn't be able to log in. But starting next week, you'll be able to log in to put in your business plans, to put in your business cases and do all that, fill out the questionnaire that helps us to assess what it is that you're bringing to the table and your suitability for the loans. So the moment you do that, you will now be batched. Depending on eligibility. So it is after the batching that you will now be told when your training will be, because the moment we invite you for training, you're practically 90% sure that you're going to get that funding. So you should be able to hear from the ministry starting next week, Monday.
Thank you so much for that, sir. The next hand we have up is Joshua L. Sunayas, Agro Chainers. Joshua L. Sunayas, I'm asking you to unmute yourself, please.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. My name is Yusho El Sunay Sani. I'm from Kasina. My question here is that you were talking about youth alone. So I'm just trying to understand whether if a group of youth can apply, or it's just based on a single person, because there are some businesses that are actually that are actually not just for as not one person is involved in. Maybe like a team of 3, a team of 5. So I want to know, in such kind of a situation, are you considering the entire team, or you are just considering one person?
Okay, thank you so much for that. I'll move to the next question quickly. Joshua bin Isele. Joshua bin Isele, you may wish to unmute yourself now. Just a second, Joshua. Oh, I think we've lost Joshua Binisela due to network problems on his end. Let's have Amber Amos. Amber Amos, please unmute yourself. Amber Amos, yes.
Good day, ma'am. Good day, the Honorable
Good
Minister.
day.
I just want to, my question is focused on the time frame for this project. You know, we have a period for application processes, selection, and then the time for accessing the fund. And if we don't have a time frame for it, maybe the longer the whole thing stays, it might, looking at our system, maybe some stuff might come in. But at the same time, I also want to look at us to look at the administrative constraints where the government, maybe the government that started this particular project is not on seat again, because we're talking of extending it even after 2023. What are the measures put in place to make sure this program continues?
Thank you so much for that. So I hand over to the permanent secretary at this point. Please, sir, you may wish to answer these questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Concerning cooperative application, if I will call it that, that is where more than one persons come together to apply. I think a major eligibility criteria will be that we must have the BVN of one person representing your group. And then that person must be between the ages of 18 and 35. And then, of course, that person will also provide a collateral, a guarantor that will be held responsible for the funds. And I think once that is done, and we're certain that those that are engaged in that business, from that will fall within that age group, will be able to deal with, deal with such a team. We will also, I think it will be nice that we get the cooperative, if I'll call it that, or the group of persons that are coming on board to take on. I would think that you have your internal processes, but there must be somebody that has to represent you as the person applying for the loan, as we can't have everybody's name in the cooperative as applicants for just one loan or one-off loan. As you're aware, we have a cap of 3 million in the first instance, and then of course as low as 250,000. So we will expect that. Then concerning sustainability, we are seriously hoping that the nature of this fund such that, number one, it is ring-fenced. Number two, we already have a team in place that is putting together a bill concerning the Nigerian Youth Fund that will go to the National Assembly for approval into a law. The moment it is signed into a law, then no other government can take it out. And then we're working hard and hoping that sometime next year, we'll be able to have this signed into a law. And once it has an act backing it, then you know that it doesn't matter what government comes or goes, you can't just throw it out except you go back to the National Assembly for a repeal of that same law. So we feel that with that in place, sustainability will have been ingrained. And as long as young people continue to take and pay back, then there will always be funds for us to be able to reach out to others. Concerning the length, I think the first person also asked, how long does it take to start your application and to be able to benefit from the law? Well, you know, we're just beginning and there are a few teething problems here and there. But as we stabilize going forward, we are certain that it will take between a week and 3 weeks max from application to disbursement. We should be able to cover that.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for that, sir. We do have a few more questions. Mr. Vincent Olo, I hope I pronounced your name well. Vincent Olo, I am unmuting you now. You may wish to unmute yourself. Vincent Olo. Vincent
Hello.
Olo. Okay,
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. So let's hear from you, please.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Honorable Minister. Yes, I have a question, and my question is like this. If I have a business already, if I have a business running already, and then I've not registered my business, and my business is where maybe I'm requesting for something for amount like 2-3 million, would that be to give me? Or if if I just registered my business with CAC like 3 days ago, or a week ago, and then maybe after the request, I went for the training and everything, would they be able to give me equal amount with those that have already existing business?
Okay, thank you for that. So whether you can get an equal amount with those that have existing businesses. Okay, so we have M&L Associates. M&L Associates, I'm asking you to unmute yourself now.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
M&L Associates, yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, Honorable Minister, and good morning, Madam. My question is in relation to the response the Minister made about cooperative registrations. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir,
Hello.
we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
You can carry on, sir.
And that's a very good one, where a group of youth can register collectively. I'm asking about the process because he said one person, an individual member of the group can represent them. But in the process of registration, I'm going to write group name, and is there a limit to the number of the group? Like maybe minimum of 5, maximum of 10, or I don't know. I want to know the whole process, please, because
Okay.
it is like yes, it's a positive addition to this thing where a full of use, because there are businesses where actually it's on in group, not on individual, and there are then these things is about the use. And there are businesses, as I said, their youth are running it, and with this support and the shift they're going to get, is going to launch them further. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, brilliant. One more just before we hand over to the Permanent Secretary, Joshua Ekele. Joshua Ekele, you may wish to unmute yourself at this point. Joshua Ekele.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Honorable Minister. I have 2 questions I want to ask. Now, concerning
Mr. Joshua, please, if I may ask you to speak up a bit louder, just project your voice a bit higher.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, concerning the CAC registration that we're talking about, that okay, so if your company is registered, you'll get funds from above, like 3 million and above. What I want to know is this: what if somebody is registered with Smedan? Can we also, is it equal with the CAC registration? And the second one is, now for the free CAC registration that the governments are currently doing. Now, how do we follow up with the state aggregators? Because you notice that most of them don't pick their calls. We have sent applications to them. We don't even know what stage it is now. Whether they haven't forwarded it to CAC, we don't know. So I want to know, how do we, as in, if Smedan certificate is same, it can be accepted as CAC registration, and how do we follow up with the aggregators since they are not picking their calls and they're not replying mails? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. So just one last one. Emmanuel Edigbo, I've been trying to unmute you. Emmanuel Edigbo, you may wish to unmute yourself.
All right, good morning. Adedida Gabriel and Miss Kate. As you can see, I'm also in my business place. I've been trained currently batch 3, and we've received our certificates and we're waiting for the next stage. So I want to really ask a question on the timing, because you people said there's going to be a fund for the remaining part of the year, but this is almost Christmas. Like the business I do, I require funding, and then I need to get these goods now before it gets costly by Christmas. And then we've been trained for over 3 weeks now, and then we are not even up to the next stage. And then probably till this buzzer is going to be like the 3rd, 4th week when probably companies would have closed, farmers, because I deal with agriculture, farmers would have long hyped the price because of the U-tide and all of that. So I wish you could, lessen hand in your timing. I want to ask if there's anything possible you can say within this month, you're going to be trained, all of the processes are going to get okay, and you're going to be disbursed within 2 weeks. So I want to ask, is there maybe an instrumentals you guys are releasing to know whether you're going to, speed up the process of timing? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I'll hand over to the honorable, to the permanent secretary now, but just one question here. Okay, just a second. The question was, PEMSEC, is there any interest on the loan? So over to you now, PEMSEC, sir. I am trying to unmute you as well at this time. Just apologies. Okay, so you may wish to unmute yourself now, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for these questions. Concerning the limit on the number of persons to form a cooperative, I don't think we can set a limit because you decide what you want and how many of you works. What you bring to what you bring to apply for this fund is your corporate documentation that tells us that you have a cooperative or you have an entity. You may be many, well, that is okay, but there has to be some form of representation, some form of documentation. And we expect that that documentation will not be belonging to different individuals. No, it has to be just a set of documentation for either a cooperative or a team of businesses. So it is just that one documentation, and that is why it is only one person that can enter into any form of agreement concerning the loan. Concerning existing or startup businesses, how much can I get? That is dependent on the strength of your business case. So do not take your business plan lightly, because that will not only determine your eligibility, it will also determine how much money you should get, because we have experts that are accessing these things, and in some cases they are computers doing the work. So if we have that in place, how much you are able to get depends on how well you are able to fill out your questionnaire, because your answers to that will determine how much you are able to get. So the fact that you applied for 3 million does not mean that you will get 3 million. There will be an assessment, and then they will come back to you with how much you're able to get. The offer will be made to you, and until you accept the offer, the payment will not be released. So it is an entirely closed system where everything has been taken care of, so to say. So the strength of your business case will determine how much money you're able to get from the lower limit to the upper limit in the first instance. And then let me answer Emmanuel before I come back to Shmedan. For those of you that have been trained already, we're sorry about the hitches. We're changing systems, and that took 2 weeks out of our time. If not, you ought to have actually received your disbursements long ago. So we are hoping that sometime next week, for those of you that have been trained, and those of you that passed that, you will receive notifications next week, and probably even before Friday, you're going to receive payments. So if you have already been trained, Emmanuel, congratulations. I will ask that you keep very close to your phones and you keep checking. And I believe that we'll reach out to you anytime from Monday. I'm also happy to announce that the MD of Nisal Microfinance, Abubakar Kure, is on this same platform with us. And Kemi, if there are any questions that we want him to take, he will be happy to take all those as well. And so he may want to shed some more light as we go along on the time it takes from application to receiving those payments, and especially for those who have already been batched and whose names have been sent back to NYSA. We need to know definitively that they're getting these monies next week. Concerning SMEDA registration and CSC registration, I think they both apply. Okay, whichever one you have should fly, as long as they're in the same category of your company registration. That is very, very important, especially for those of you that hope to access above 500,000, because we have both the formal and informal businesses. For the informal businesses, you may be able to access between 250,000 and 500,000. But you have to have a formal business. You have to have a formal business registration for you to be able to access above that. And I'm also happy to announce to us, for those of you that will need some form of registration, you could work with SMEDA, you could work with CAC, or you could work with Abuja Enterprise Agency, who have also been licensed to handle registration of small businesses for free. And they get every form of documentation from the CAC as well. So you may want to expand your scope and make yourself eligible by doing what needs to be done. So basically, this is it. And on interest, the interest is a flat rate of 5%. We have said that over and over again, and you will see that on our site when you get there, 5%. I think I've answered practically every question. Thank you, Kemi.
Thank you so much, sir. So, sir, just one more round of questions before we let you go. We have a few. So, Mr. Dayo Akin, I will try to unmute you now. Mr. Dayo Akin, your question, please. Mr. Dayo Akin, please try to unmute yourself. And then once we take Mr. Dayo Akin, we will take Mr. Shegun Falade.
Good afternoon. Simply, those who access the COVID-19 PCF, are they qualified to access this one? You know, the COVID-19 PCF is actually for household, it's not for business, and this NYIF is going to be for businesses. So, are they qualified to access this NYIF as well? And secondly, I would like to have a like that we don't we can't keep up with the latest development. Can we just have a recap of how the entire process is going to go again, starting from application to disbursement? Thank you. That's my question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dayakin. Please do mute yourself. Next, we move to Mr. Shegun Falade. Mr. Shegun Falade, you may wish to unmute yourself at this point, sir.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Falade.
Okay. Good morning, Honorable Minister and the PAMSEC, Aduda Gabriel, and of course, the moderator, Kemi. I'd like to use this medium to say a big thank you for this wonderful initiative. It's something that has really shown that this administration is really keen to help the youth, especially within the gap of 18 to 35. I am so pleased with this team. This is possibly the first time ever in the history of this country we have a Ministry of Youth and Sports that is not only entangled with imbroglio with NFL, football, and all of that. This time around, we are having a ministry that is really yearning for the youth. However, aside from this commendation, I'd like to quickly ask from the Honorable PAMSEC, Aduda Gabriel, sir. In the course of your explanation thus far, I've actually got a couple of points that are necessary for me to get back to my youths who are already seated beside me here. I have been a champion of this course, and I also made them to understand that if you apply for this loan, you will certainly get it. Now, there's this gap that we're having right now. You mentioned business plan, and I was wondering how easy for us to get access to pushing our business plans to the platform. There's no email on the website that says this is where you're to push your business plan to for this National Youth Investment Fund. I understand that some other intervention like COVID-19 testing have been done by NISA. There's a particular email address that you can push your business plan to. So I'll just ask for the PAMSEC and the Honorable Minister to share more light on this so we can easily push the business plan. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So we'll just take one more question before we move on to the MD of National. So please mute yourself. Thank you, Mr. Falade. So we now move to, I'm just trying to see the next hand we've got raised. John Musa Emmanuel. John Musa Emmanuel, you may wish to unmute yourself at this point. John Musa Emmanuel.
Good morning, I'm online.
Great.
Yes. I have a question. One is, can a cooperative that has somebody who is over age, that's above the age limit, also apply if we have others who are within the age range allowed? Can that cooperative still apply? Secondly, I have applied for so many people around me here. I have not gotten anybody that have said he has received any message of invitation. In fact, when I heard about that people have been trained already, I was doubting it. until right now that I'm confirming that training has begun already. So why is it that nobody around this ASIS, that's Manchok in Kaduna State, Kaura local government, to be precise? In fact, on Environs, I've not had anybody who has said he has received any message. I've applied for over 10 to 20 people. Nobody has received any message for training. And then, if possible, is there any platform for we who are slightly above the age range? Is there any consideration for us so that we also can apply? Thank you.
Yeah, no, an old man. Hmm?
John Musa. Thank you so much, Mr. John Musa Emmanuel. So just the last one now,
Yes.
Emmanuel Ejike. Mr. John Musa, please do mute yourself for me. Then Mr. Emmanuel Ejike. Mr. Emmanuel Ejike.
Okay, I'm muted now.
There we go.
Okay, I wanted to ask for the recipients of the COVID-19 loan, whether they are still, because he was saying that if you receive, any amount of the COVID-19 loan, you'll not be able to apply. So I just wanted to ask in that light, whether they are disqualified from all other loans from NISAL, knowing how meager the purpose of the COVID-19 loan. I mean for the home category, not the SME category. So that's basically my issues. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Emmanuel HK. Permanent Secretary, sir, I hand over to you at this point, sir.
Okay, thank you so very much, Kemi, and thank you all Nigerians across board for these wonderful questions. I'm happy that they're coming to seek clarifications. I'll try to answer some of these, and as soon as I'm done, we'll leave the floor for the MD of NISAL, Abubakar Kure, to come on and perhaps shed some more light, especially on this last question for the recipients of COVID-19 loan, because we understand that there was the household type and the businesses. So we will need him to answer if it was a household type that the recipient had, does he now qualify to apply for business or not? So we want that clarification, because a lot of questions have been coming lately on those two. But for survival fund, yes, if you're a recipient of the survival fund from Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, you still qualify to apply. The survival fund, I think, is a grant. Okay, it is not a loan, I guess, but we need to be sure about that. But also, I will expect the MD of NISAL coming up immediately after me to be able to shed some more light on that as well. But we think that if you have the survival fund, which is just about 30,000 or 50,000 or thereabout, you should be able to apply for the youth investment fund. And then concerning how to upload your business plans. Like I said earlier, we started with a particular model on our portals, which we have changed in the past 2 to 3 weeks. So starting from Monday, a lot of you are going to receive SMSs. And that goes also to answer the young man from Kaduna that says you haven't received anything. Yes, we had to slow down a bit to put in place the new system, which is a bit different from what we had started with, but which does not take away from anybody or does not disenfranchise anyone at all. So what is going to happen next is that you're going to receive SMSs to everybody that you applied for. If they put in their phone numbers, they're going to get SMSs that will now invite them to go on to the next stage of the application, where they will now see the business case plan or the questionnaire, and they're expected to fill that out, and that now takes you through the entire process. Concerning age limit, sorry, at the moment you're above 35, you do not qualify. But if you're above 35, you belong to a cooperative and you have a number of young people in the cooperative between the ages of 18 and 35, then you can have one of them apply, but then the cooperative can only apply for only one loan. You can't apply for multiples, okay? And then the consideration will be the young people that are part of that cooperative and not the older ones. So it is the details of the young persons that can be uploaded on the platform. Now, I've answered no one has been invited for training. I said we're going to do that very shortly. Concerning the rural youth, okay, without access to the internet, I saw that as well. Well, a lot is been done, and unfortunately, we are still at a loss on how to be able to capture that. And that is why whatever it is, this is a web-based application, a web-based process, web-based training and everything. So if the person does not even have the internet to apply, how does the person have the internet to even be part of the training? Because the training also is going to be online. So unfortunately, we would love to reach out to the rural people. We would love to reach out even in physical terms, but to a large extent, our hands are tied. Maybe as time goes on, we'll work out something that will be able to accommodate them as well. And I hope that MD NYSAL will also shed a little more light on that. Then concerning the process, I think it is a clear three-step process, like I've said earlier. The first stage is the application stage, starting from Monday, where you will start up. Those of you that have already begun your applications, that got to where you put in your BVN and it ended there, you're going to receive SMSs that will now invite you to, and then give you access to the next stage, that is the business plan. So what we have done now is that we have put together former stages 1 and 3 together as stage 1. Meaning that the entire application goes right through where you fill out your business plan, okay? Your business, where you make your business case right from the onset. And then the second step is the training, while the third step is the disbursement. So this is the three simple processes that we have put in place, okay? Where first and foremost, you have that application phase, okay, where you put in your information, including your business, your idea plan, your information, and all that. Number 2, based on the full application and your eligibility for loan, based on the pitch business ideas that you are going to put in there, we will now batch you for training. Okay, if you're able to cross that stage, what they now do is they will send your name for training. Then you'll be invited for the training. And as soon as you're done with the training, then disbursement is done. So what we have done is to limit training to only those that are eligible for the loans. And that way we don't have to train as many as 3 million when we cannot give more than 10, 20,000 loans, thereabout. So basically this is it as we speak. And I hope that these steps are clear enough. But I'll leave the floor for the MD NYSAL to come on board and perhaps shed some more light as we go along. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Permanent Secretary, sir. We're trying to bring on the MD of NYSAL at this point. I'll just read through some of the comments that we have here. In addition to my brother John Mr. asked, I have lodged a complaint. I'm in Nasarawa and over 50 numbers of persons that can apply have been called for training. Please, is there anything we need to do? I think that says have not been called for training. So we'll speak to some of those questions shortly. I'll try to bring on the MD of NYSAL, Mr. Abubakar Kure. Dear sir, you may wish to unmute yourself at this point. Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, sir. You're welcome to the 7th Youth Town Hall meeting. Please, we'd just like your overview on the NYIF before they start to fire in the questions, sir.
All right. Thank you, my hosts, and it's my pleasure to be here. The PAMSEC, Mr. Grewe, has done a lot to answer most of the comments or interventions. So largely my role has been limited now, but he has done most of the job. So PAMSEC, well done. And for the youth, it's my honor to be here. This is one of the greatest things that happened in this country for the youth. Because youth have been given chance, chance to live up to their potentials. Because those who have the loans now have ability to upscale themselves and be millionaires of Dangotes alike. Dangote started with about 500,000, probably about 10 million value now. I don't know. I don't have the mathematics side to it. But obviously, big business will start small. And SME is the engine of any economy because it employs about 70 to 90% of most businesses across the world. I even account for about that same percentage, about even 80 for the number of people employed. Because the government, as you know, doesn't have capacity to employ everybody. So the youth investment is actually investment on youth, on economic, social area, because you know the useful restiveness in the country now. This investment to address it, the insecurity, the banditry, the robbery, even on health issues. This investment to address it. couple the fact that I know youth are also, some of them into drugs, some of them into sexual abuse, I believe that in years to come, we'll be able to see return on investment that can address some of these things. So I'd like to commend Federal Minister of Youth and Sports, also the Manual Central Bank, who have also injected funds in this initiative. If this project has started probably a long time ago, some of the issues we're having around Boko Haram, kidnapping, loss of productivity by the youth, and other social vices will have been minimized. It might not be eliminated completely, but there has to be. So that is my commendation to the government, and I want to throw a challenge to do. They should use the money viably. It's not about buying handsets. It's not about buying cars. It's not about giving your friends money or engaging in drugs or alcoholism. It's also not about maybe marrying more wives for those who want to do that, or giving your girlfriend, but it's about setting up creative businesses that you can gain yourself employment. And when you have employment, it's not only one or two that might also be employed. It has multiply effect by way of employing other people, and also government also enjoy taxes from them. But that's just the overall view on the scheme. Then, in particular, the role of NASAL as it is. NASAL will act as a vehicle for the disbursement of the funds. And currently, our portal is on. We have over nearly 3 million as of today of number of applications that have come in. And some people might have challenge enrolling the application. That might be due to the fact that either you are less than 18 years, as the PAMSEC have said, or you are more than 35. Or you have an existing loan that is unpaid. Because once you are logging your data online real time, the data is validated from a pool of data to see whether or not you are qualified. So if you have an existing advance loan that is unpaid, or a direct credit facility that is unpaid, the system will throw you out automatically. So you might be saying this is a challenge, but it's not a challenge. It's trying to tell you there will be a feedback. They also tell you that you are not qualified. And for emphasis again, I know PAMSA have mentioned that this is not a grant or social intervention, but it's a loan. So I urge you to know that so that you can divert the money to viable areas, so that you can also be able to pay back. We don't want a case of default, because if you default, you are denying your brother, your sister, your mother that cheap funds. And the cheapest fund you can get anywhere. At 5% for 1 year, 9% for 1 year. Because of the COVID, is 5%. But we expect that 1 year, the COVID will have gone down small. Again, too, you have a lot of liberty around duration of payment. 1 year moratorium, payment for 3 years. It's categorized to both SME and household. So I urge you to use it very well, because it's a recycling loan, such that if you take, you pay, another person also takes. And on our own part, as a NASA, we have put in technology to be able to drive this process very well. So we expect, as soon as we get the numbers from the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports, we're looking at 5 days. That's our work plan, to be able to allow beneficiaries access the loans. We're also looking at sending the money to your bank to make it faster. Instead of it to say, come to NASA, use our application. People who already have existing accounts, you just send it to that account, so that you already have the technology around e-payment, mobile application, internet, or ATM cards. So you don't need to say you're going to be starting fresh with NASA. The idea is just to allow speed, of access to the funds. So I have a couple of issues that were mentioned during the interaction with the PAMSEC. I will briefly mention some of them on the issue of if you apply for admins or TCF, you are not qualified. That is the current rule. irrespective of whether it's household or SME. But I guess the person who raised the issue has a valid point, which of course we may have to carry over. For instance, anybody that apply for household, the way we look at it, because the amount is not material. The amount is meant for existing businesses and also to pushing or mitigate effect of COVID on businesses and household. So if you apply for household under the Youth Investment Fund, it's something I have to catch the Central Bank for deliberations. You have to be allowed to qualify for SME under the Youth Investment Scheme. And you apply for, let's say, SME under the, let's say, TCF, perhaps, maybe they should be allowed to apply for loans that are not businesses, which is benchmarked to about 250,000 under the structure of Youth Investment Scheme. I'm not promising anything, but I think it's something we can work on. Whereas the quantum of funds under the household is just 500, which significantly cannot help businesses. It's actually targeted at businesses who need cash flow to be able to reopen under the damage done or hurts done by the COVID. At this point, I think I want to pause and wait for comments or questions from the youth.
Thank you so much for that. We truly appreciate that. At this point, I have two people with their hands raised, Emmanuel HK and Jimo Nuruddin Kayode. Emmanuel HK, I'm trying to unmute you now. You may wish to unmute yourself.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon. I have a question concerning the AGMAIS loan. So in terms of, some of us applied for the AGMAIS loan and we are interviewed, so, and we've not had anything since like July until now. So we are a little bit confused. Maybe we are not qualified or something, and we don't know what to do regarding this, the National Youth Investment Fund. So we just want to know our fate, to know, should we go ahead with this one, or maybe this one will not work out and all that. So we just, that's basically what we, the concern. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Just if we can just take maybe 3 before you respond so that it might move a bit faster. Jimo Nuruddin Kayode, you may wish to unmute yourself. Jimo Nuruddin Kayode.
Thank you, Madam Kemi. Let me thank the Honorable Minister, because this face of Alhaji Abubakar Abdullahi Kuri, I'm looking at, is a face I've been looking for since I have the opportunity to see this face today. Basically, because to me, NASA is just a nightmare, particularly those of us in Kwara State alone, to be precise here. Because we even think maybe the office you have here is just something like a marriage. Because they will call you to do everything. At a point in time, you just stop hearing anything from them again. If you go there, they will say, go back home. We are going to get back to you. Like for 1 year now. So my question is, my first question is in line with the question of Mr. Iman and the GK. But the second part of it is concerning the uploading of the business plan. The past intervention program by the federal government that is being pioneered by NISA, I think there is a provision for the uploading of business plan in the past, in which most of us have even paid for such. So we have the soft copy and even the hard copy with us. So concerning the NYIF now, looking at the ranges of the loan, if I'm not mistaken, the NYIF pegged SME to 3 to 5 million naira. But for the AGMIs, to be precise, it seems SME have opportunity of 5 million, 10 million naira and above. And we have, in one way or the other, have a business plan to seat a particular amount in our AGMIs program. So can we use that same business plan for the NYIF, considering the difference in the loan amount? So that's my second question. Alhaji Abubakar Abdullahi Kuri, I'm seeing your face today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question, Mr. Jimo Nuruddin Kade. Please, if you can assist me in muting yourself at this point. And I'm now asking Mr. Mo. Mr. Mo, you may wish to unmute yourself at this point. Mr. Mo, M-O-H. Yes, there we go. Mr. Mo?
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, MD. It's really good to have you around. My question is, can you still hear me?
We're having some feedback there, Mr. Mo. Do you have another device in the room? Okay, Mr. Mo, I'm going to unmute you again, but you probably have two devices in the same room. So if you could, brilliant. Okay, there we go.
Okay, is this okay now?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon again, Kemi, and good afternoon, MD. My question goes thus. I actually want to deviate from NYIF. I want to focus on the COVID-19 TCF and the AXMIS that I've actually stated earlier. My question is, recently, the governor of the central bank actually stated that the funds have actually been increased from 150 billion naira to 300 billion naira. Now, my question is, will there be any room for other applicants to still apply, or are you guys still going to stick with those that have already applied before now? And for the AGS MEIS, my question is that NARSAL's employees, is that they are extremely overwhelmed? Because there are individuals that have actually been on this process for almost a year, even a year plus, and they've really not gotten any kind of feedback whatsoever from NARSAL. I think feedback is really key. You understand? Okay, let me know if I'm getting this loan or not. Now, so my last question, that has to do with feedback also, and that is particularly NARSAL's MFMB account. That's on Twitter. The last tweet was around October, and this is extremely worrisome, given the fact that some individuals have actually been scammed, as in, okay, getting funny text messages stating that they should make some payments and all that. Now, NARSA, NFMB, they really do not come out to rebuild all this kind of claim. Like, isn't it just last week, some individuals received funny text messages telling them to pay for a processing fee for AGS MEIS on Flutterwave. I had to tweet, mention Flutterwave, and Flutterwave had to clear themselves that, of course, they don't know anything as per this payment. Fine, we're giving out loan. Information security is also sacrosanct, sincerely. We have lots of individuals that they've actually lost value because of this. Fine, I'm a gospel, I'm a preacher of Narasala. I speak about it everywhere, and I really don't want to cover myself in shame. I'm hoping and believing that those that are eligible will get this. Thank you very much again, MB. Good to see you. Good to see you, sir. And Kemi, thanks for giving me the chance today. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Mr. Mo. Thank you for that. We'll just take one more before we hand over to Mr. Lajikure. Emmanuel Edigbo. Emmanuel Edigbo, you may wish to unmute yourself. Emmanuel Edigbo.
All right. Good morning, Mr. MD. As you can see, I'm in my business place. I wanted to throw more light on the ineligibility of people from accessing the loan. For example, I'm a business guy. I deal with food stuff. I go as far as Taraba State, bring them to Abakaliki and sell. And I applied for the loan, for the COVID-19 loan. And because of several documents, I couldn't get a good amount. I just got a household loan of 150,000. And then you can imagine for most of us who do bulk business, 150,000 cannot get you 4 bags of groundnut. So for those of us who do money needing business, 150,000 shouldn't make me ineligible of accessing a loan of 3 million naira. And so I think, personally, I think you should also collaborate with the CBN that the ineligibility of the COVID-19 loan is separate from the Youth Investment Fund. And so you should make, if there's going to be an exception, let it be those who collected the SMEs, not those who collected the household loan. because the household loan shouldn't disqualify one from being able to access this one. And also, I also want to talk on behalf of the rural youth. I went to my village to register everybody on this youth investment fund. And then the notice for training got to my email. And I began to wonder, what of those who don't have access to internet in the rural area? It's really very, very alarming. People should try and consider those in the rural area. I believe bulk youths also come from the rural area. If all of these are meant for the urban youths, who 50% of them don't even believe in Nigeria, that Nigeria will ever work. So we should try and be considerate to those in the rural area, and also look at this ineligibility of persons to access.
Quickly, I need to know what to do. Thank you so much for that. Sorry, I'm actually unmuted. Thank you so much. One last question, Mr. Kingsley Ejuba. Mr. Kingsley Ejuba, over to you now. You may wish to unmute yourself.
Okay. Good afternoon, MD. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. My question borders basically on the statement you made initially when you said that the youth should not use the money they'll be getting for frivolous activities. Now, my question is, because I believe that the essence of this loan is that the core reason why the loan is given, why the money is given, is achieved. So how and what mechanism are you putting in place to ensure that there's a follow-up or a kind of mentorship on the people that collect this loan to ensure that they use it, they utilize it effectively? Because it's not good enough to just give somebody money and then that's the end. If the person is not able to pay, the person's ability to pay also affects prospective beneficiaries who are also supposed to get the money. So what mechanisms do you have in place to ensure that this is avoided? And then secondly, talking about taxation, you know that majority of the youth that apply for this loan are also startups. So most of them have little or no experience in the field. So what programs are you putting in place to ensure that they get some kind of assistance in terms of probably taxation, maybe no taxation for them, for those people that are starting? So what are some of the policies you're putting in place to ensure that these persons that are startups particularly will have a maximum and very good ground to start up their business? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Kingsley. We'll now hand over to Mr. Abubakar Kure. You may wish to please answer the questions now, sir.
Thank you for the series of questions. Let me start with the last gentleman that asked a question around how do we ensure that these loans are not diverted to other ways that will not help in recoveries. Well, let me start by saying that the essence of EDI training is also to equip you and give you financial education and literacy around how to manage SMEs or businesses in general. So if people make full use of the opportunity, I expect to know the difference between creating a loan that will generate cash flow and payback, and then assessing liabilities that cannot pay back money. You understand that? Because if you start buying cars and phones, actually liability, you can't pay back. So the essence of that idea is actually to train, to equip you, to upscale your skills so that you can pay back them. The other thing we are trying to do on our own part is to set up a monitoring mechanism. And realizing that, in all honesty, NASA does not have capacity around numbers of staff to do the monitoring. We've already been discussing to see how we can outsource the monitoring through business development centers. They will be able to help SME how to run their business, and also to upscale their skills again, even after the EDI training. That is what is also on the table. Because the EDI will train you, but the business development center will be the one that will monitor your business on a continuous basis to ensure that that business does not fail. Let me state clearly, if you decide to fail deliberately,
we have what we call global standing instruction. That's one of the wisest things introduced by central bank in order to ensure financial and monetary stability. What that entails is this: if you default, we use your BVN, your unique number, irrespective of why you have money in the banking system, irrespective of why you have money, your account will be debited and NMB will be credited. So if you default your loans and you have money, say, in Keystone Bank, once you activate the global standing instruction that you are defaulted, your Keystone Bank account will be debited and NASA will be credited, and advice sent to you notify you that this has happened. So that is the goalkeeper that we have. But that is the last resort. The first resort is around, or first level for the training is around EDI training, business development centers to do the monitoring, and also to ensure recoveries. If you fail, you activate GSI. And that's why I have stated clearly, and PAMSEC has also emphasized that this is not a grant, but it's a loan intended to be paid back and intended to be a recycling loan so that other people can have access. On the issue of taxation, yes, as a startup, provide the need for tax holidays is possible. That's what the fiscal authority should look at. Perhaps Foreign Minister of Youth should take up on this. But I also emphasize already holiday has been given to you guys. For you to say you are not going to repay the loan for 1 year, moratorium, it's already a holiday. Let the truth be told. So if you are not paying the loan for 1 year and then you are not paying tax for 1 year again, I mean, it's a too much burden on the government. Government also expects some things from you because this loan is subsidized. It's not a free. Government could have channeled this loan to other sectors of the economy, but they say no. Let's invest in you so that we can have returns from the youth. So I will expect they can open up a discussion. But I'm saying the loan always have moratorium for 1 year, which is on a holiday. So if you go again and ask for tax holiday, well, the fiscal authorities, either the Federal Inland Revenue, under the Federal Ministry of Finance, can handle that. But I expect the ministry to drive this process, not us. The other issue asked is the issue around assessing COVID-19. One gentleman said that he got about 250. Yes. You know, when we started, there were a lot of preconditions to assessing COVID. But because Nigerians were not able to meet the conditions, the governor of Central Bank is on wisdom because he wants people to assess it so that it could have multiplier effect on the economy. Say, he called me and said, MD, remove all those conditions. And that's why we're able to get a large number of people that have assessed COVID. Currently, we have about 200,000 Nigerians that have assessed COVID. When we started, part of the condition is that we look at your bank statement. So if they are able to give you only 150 or 200, it means that you don't have capacity. Your business does not have strength around repayment. But obviously, when the governor said remove that, all those conditions, many people got 500, and that's the maximum ceiling. But those who go below is simply because your bank statement you floated, which was a criteria then, we have looked at it, the cash flow is not enough, and the cash flow determines your capacity to pay back. But all those conditions are no longer.
Okay, I think we might be having a slight technical glitch. Dear sir, can you hear us? I take that as a no. We would wait for him to get back. We just give a few seconds to see if the internet might just rectify itself. But while we're waiting, we have two people that have questions. So what we'll do is we will take the questions, and from there, we would be able to pass the questions on for the questions to be answered a bit later. So Mr. Joshua Elsenias, Mr. Joshua, I'm putting you on now. You may wish to unmute yourself. Mr. Joshua L. Sinayas.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Mr. Joshua.
All right. My question is also has to do with the this issue of like complication between this loan and that of the NSR.
Okay, I think you've just muted yourself by mistake. I'll unmute you again. Mr. Joshua, please try to unmute yourself. Yeah, I don't think we're having much luck there. Okay, so just one more person. We have Mr. Shegun Falade. Mr. Shegun Falade, I'm trying to unmute you now as well.
Hello.
Joshua, yes, please. What were you saying earlier?
Yeah, the hello. Ooh.
We can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. Go on, we're listening. Okay, yes, he is truly struggling. So, Mr. Shegun Falade, I come back to you again. Mr. Shegun Falade.
Thank you so much, moderator. I would like to quickly ask the MD of Mr. Microfinance Bank, what is the time frame between when you get the to receive the phone and the disbursement time? I just want to ask for the time frame. Is it 1 week? Is it 2 weeks? Or is it 5 weeks? Thank you.
So that's just the time frame.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. We'll try to get the MD back. Just a second. Dear sir, I'm trying to unmute you. Brilliant. We have you back, sir.
Okay, sorry, I had technology issues at my end. The internet went off. So just follow up to the questions. On the issue of the 250, the gentleman that claimed he had 250 or 150 or thereabouts when the COVID-19 started, as I've emphasized, at that time there are some conditions that were put into the system which you have to fulfill. Once you fulfill it, the system also determines how much you should get based on your bank statement. You remember you must have uploaded your bank statement. So your bank statement will have showed how much inflows you have and the capacity to pay back that loan. That is the basis for giving that amount. So on the other issue, I agree there's a sense in it. If somebody gets 150 and he has a genuine business because he took COVID or TCF loan, we shouldn't prevent him from accessing SME loan or company loans that are registered under the youth investment scheme, which has a threshold of 3 million. I think it's something that I will have to carry to Central Bank, look at it, and see whether we can tinker with it to help those who get household. But if you get, for instance, get SME, 5 million to 2.5 million where it was reduced, I'm not sure whether we can waive that. But for the SME, yes, I agree. It's something that we need to really look at. Okay, on the issue of feedback, and those who think they have been on the queue since June, yes, I'm aware there are people like that, but it's probably due to the fact that we are not giving you feedback. There are some people who have genuine case that we have looked at our system, we have looked at our processes, we have looked at our technology. In fact, this issue was discussed even this week, and we agree that we will have to send feedback to all applicants that have applied under ADMIS, and even COVID, that one, you are not successful because A, B, C, D, or you are successful, however, your application is under processing. And we're also refining our applications, our system, to make it more robust, so that at every stage, you'll be able to see the status of application. Approved, not approved, under processing, so that clearly this type of feeling is no longer there. But I want to stress too that the numbers are more than the supply in terms of funding. If you look at Nigeria, it's a population of 200 million people. If you look at the number of SMEs, they are over 40 million. Then you are talking of a funds which is just 1% of profit after tax of Nigerian banks. In fact, the figure may even go down in 2021 because of the impact of COVID. So you see, there's a demand and supply gap. But for those who have applied and we didn't give them feedback for over 6 months or thereabout, I assure you that you get feedback soon. And what we did recently, for those who don't know, we went back to our system and checked all those who applied from January to July this year and did qualify. We pick up data and currently is awaiting funding at the central bank. At any moment from now, if you are in that category, we'll fund you. And those who are not going to be funded either because they did not qualify for the eligibility, or one reason or they're ranging from maybe you have a failed credit, you have not paid, your BVN, which is the unique identifier, has also failed, or during the interview, you felt that the money is a grant, not a loan. Automatically, I've told my team, disqualify anybody. Because you conduct interviews, so people will tell you, I thought this money is a loan, it's a grant, and yet they still want the money. You are fair. Because the idea is to have a recycling loan, whereby people they pay, other set of people take the loan, so that the economy and overall can improve. Then on the issue of business plan, whether you can replicate business plan, it all depends. It's neither here or there. Because if you have a business plan of 10 million, for instance, under ADMIS, I want to go and replicate it under investment fund, youth investment fund. The benchmark there is just 3 million, whereas the benchmark here is 10. So it will not match, because the essence of business plan is to tell you your expenditure and the cash flow and how you want to pay back, whether the business is viable. You cannot go and do a business that has 3 million, and then you have done a business that has, let's say, 8 million business plan, and you say you want to use. I don't think it will work, because you now need to think out it, to adjust it to fit the loan. Because business plan is supposed to say, this is the ceiling of your loan, this is my expenditure, this is my cash flow projection for each year, and this is how I want to make the payment. This is how the profit will be. The same capital, different capital will mean different profits or different asset acquisition. So on that, I will not advise it, but if you have the one that fits 3 million to 3 million or 3 million or close to the figure, fine and good. If it is the same line of business, I don't think we have objection. And let me stress that as of today, for your information, we have done over 200,000 COVID beneficiaries under NASA. And that thing is a major performance. Because even banks don't do retail payments. Banks don't do those numbers. They do large value loans. So it's not easy as you think to be doing retail in volumes. Banks don't do volumes. They do large value. And here is NASA, a small institution, able to take over 200,000 COVID loans. We have also done over 17,000 AGMIs. And these AGMIs are large value. And that's why it's a bit slower than COVID. COVID is just maximum of 2.5 for SME, household, nearly 500,000. But for AGMIs, you can go as much as 10 million. So you know that we must put in measures in place to mitigate the risk of default. So part of the risk of default is the one that is making the process slow. And once you receive, we have people coming to me and say they don't need arguments again because they thought it's cash. Or maybe they don't need arguments again because I just believe it's the interest bearing. Or maybe they said they don't need arguments again because the season or timing have changed or they have changed location. Some people don't prefer cash, but argument is not cash. So you can see that those processes, which we are already trying to fine tune and remove the bottlenecks and make it more efficient. Currently, we are reviewing our processes to make it efficient so that we are looking at a timeline of 17 days, a typical applicant to assess argument. But I want to state categorically here that the numbers cannot be matched by funding. So don't expect that because you apply, you must get. Currently, we have over 50,000 applications on our portal. And when we estimated the funding, we are talking about 150 billion. Why would the government get that type of money? Why the government is struggling to pay salaries and other basic security issues? So I want to tell you that you should have to have understanding. So for people who have not gotten the AGNIS or COVID, I will encourage you use the window for this investment scheme. Use this window because it's a law of demand supply. It cannot cover. The funding is not there. So you have to realize. So the government is come with other alternative options for you to be able to get employ yourself, for you to also have multiplier effect on the coming, and if possible pay tax, because the government has done so much. They also expect much from you. It's not a grant. If the government decides to give you a cost, effective cost savings loan, low cost loans, the government also expects you to pay tax so that they can be able to honor other obligations on their part. So I think I have attempted to answer all the questions. If there is no other one left, you can let me know.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we just have another 2 or 3 questions here. So over from Facebook, we have James Modukwe. His question is, what types of trainings are offered to applicants and how are the training providers appointed? Then there's a question here from Emmanuel Edigbo. My question, Mr. MD, is if you meet the CBN on the eligibility issue for the household and accept/decline, how do we know what the outcome of the meeting? Then the final question now is from Remy Fafore. Remy Fafore, you may wish to unmute yourself now. Just a second, I haven't unmuted you.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for this opportunity. And I'd just like to ask a few questions. My name is Remy Fafari, and I am an interior designer. I've been doing this for 3 years now. And for the past 3 years, we've been able to empower a lot of youths in and outside Abuja. And when the NYIF thing came up, myself and a few of my entrepreneurs, we tried to register. And when we got to the point where we have to put in our BVN, we had issues. And the question we got, or the answers we got, were invalid BVN. And this is a BVN we've been using for the past 5-6 years. And looking at the number of youth who have applied for this loan or the grant, is there still an opportunity for we that have been trying? Because we have the requirements, all you need to follow for you to be able to get the grant. And I think I have 85% of it. So for we that we are still trying to get the grant, is there still an opportunity for us, or what do we do at this stage? Because I've been doing this for 3 years now, and there's a point in your business where you need grants to be able to expand and to be able to do better. So this opportunity, I feel it's a good opportunity for me to be able to expand my business. So at this point, are we still eligible to get the grant? And for the issue of BVN, is there any way that can be addressed? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So just one last person now, Mr. Sunday Aluko. You may wish to unmute yourself, Mr. Sunday Aluko.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you,
Hello?
Mr. Sunday.
Hello?
Okay, it
Hello?
seems to have some technical issues. Yes, Mr. Sunday, we can hear you.
Hello? Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Please, my question is for the minister or the man in charge of the bank that is in charge of the disbursement of the fund. Please, I want to ask a question concerning the requirements. When the fund was, the NYIF, when it was established in July 25, I think, I read through the requirements and I noticed that one of the requirements is that we must have a registered business. And after which I took money out of the little I was having, I went to register my business. So now when the registration started, I discovered that there was nothing like registration of business or having a business registered again as a criteria for selection. And now I discovered that invitation has been sent to people for training and I'm yet to receive any. I want to ask, what is my goal? Or is the registration of business still for training? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Over to you, Mr.
Hello?
Okay. Thank you. Let me start with the last question on the registration of business. You know, the youth investment scheme has two categories. Category 1 are for non-registered businesses, which has up to. Category 2 is for registered businesses, which has up to 3 million. So you have the option to choose which of the category you want to belong to. But beyond that, if you want to register a business, that is fine. It then means in the price of your request for the loan, you have to upload that certificate, which of course might be validated by us to show that actually that certificate is genuine. And it's not a must, especially if you're a starter, that you must go for 3 million. Business that have done all over the world started small and gradually they build up. Because if you build up fast and you lack business experience, you lack cash flow management, I can tell you, it needs a lot of effort for you to succeed. But if you start gradually, given the baseline that says if you don't need to register 250 or thereabouts, you can take that, begin to build your business gradually. That is how most businesses become giant businesses. It's not by starting big, no, it's by starting small and gradually improving or expanding. On the issue of website for BVN that is said to be invalid, what I can say, I think in our website we have a complaint where you can quickly type in or send a mail about your BVN that is not valid. If it is under the youth investment scheme. But if you instead, if you're going to be tapping your BVN under the other scheme that we have, let's say targeted credit facility, when they ask you to provide BVN because your loan has been approved, if it is not approved and you go and type your BVN, it still automatically tell you it's not valid because you are not qualified. You're not in our database. That BVN that you type under the targeted credit facility or otherwise referred to as COVID loan has connection with our data, our database. It has to connect and validate you. But if you are just doing youth investments, the fund is not approved. I don't see that happen, but if you say it happens and you are sure, you are confident your BVN is correct, I don't think you should give us a mail. You can contact our corporate communication unit. They will be able to assist you on how to address the matter. On the outcome of my discussion with Central Bank, whether there were a lot of people who have enjoyed household, probably assess youth investment scheme under the structure of SME. I will discuss it, and the outcome will be known to the ministry, who in turn communicates with us, because we are the banker. The ministry is the driver around the policy of congestion central bank. I'm not guaranteeing anything because I'm not the governor of central bank. Mine is to carry it to them because I think there's wisdom there. If there's no wisdom, I will tell you the reasons why I will not. But I think there's wisdom there. Somebody who have 500, I really want to run business. It's not enough. Because if you want to do SME, it's not about you alone. It's about other people you also help. Because if you do SME and you are buying, manufacturing something, you employ more people. If you go to market, you buy certain things. It's also a multiply effect on the economy. This is what we are looking at. So, my own view, people who have households should be allowed to access SME under the youth investment. But if at the end of the day, the structure or the official central bank said no, I will also communicate to them. Okay, I think that is all. That's what I have.
Would like to thank you so much for your time, sir. We've gained a lot of information on the NYIF. If we do have any more questions, sir, we will reach out to you probably via Twitter or any other means. We're bringing on the permanent secretary now. Permanent secretary, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to thank the MD Naishal. It was very kind of you to have accepted to be part of this. And thank you for your very elucidating and enlightening contribution. But I thought I should also add to the entrepreneur that talked about receiving invalid BVN. The default message you will get if your BVN doesn't fit is invalid BVN. And that means you're either below 18, you are above 35, or you're already enjoying another loan, another intervention with the CBN. So what I would have loved to ask is, okay, how old are you? Because recently I had that from someone called me up very early in the morning and just went off on us. Government has started this and that and that and that and that. She can't get through, and each time she goes in, it gives her invalid. So I asked her a simple question. I said, how old? I said, who are you applying for? She said herself. I asked her, how old are you? She said 41. So that just shut it there, because there is no way it will take you once you're above 35. So it is not that the system is not working. In fact, the system is working. That's why it throws out your BVN as invalid. So it is not telling you that there is a mismatch between your name and that. Sometimes it tells you that. But the thing is that the moment there is that bit that you're not 18, you're above 35, or you're enjoying another intervention from CBN, you'll get that default message. So I think they will need to check again. And for the entrepreneur that's coach, since she's been doing this for a number of years, if it is the age stop, she should encourage her team to get the younger people to engage more, because if once they are above 35, then they can no longer benefit from this particular fund. Thank you. I just thought I should chip that in.
Okay, so we have her right here. So Remy Fafore, you may wish to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Hello, Remy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, sir. I'm just 28, and I have friends of my own age range, and we also experience the same issue. I'm just 28.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
and
sir.
you're sure you don't have any other loan with CBN?
Hello?
You don't have any other loan with CBN? Are you
I can
a
hear
beneficiary?
you. What did you say, sir?
Are you a beneficiary of?
No. This is my
any
first
other
time.
intervention? Okay, then I'll advise
my
that give
first
us
time.
till Monday, get back on the network again. Okay, give us till Monday, get back again. If you're not able to get through on Monday, please reach out to Kemi to let us know.
All right, sir. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
sir. Thank you, Remy. At this point, we would like to bring on the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Sunday Dare. Honorable Minister, sir, I'm trying to unmute you.
Thank you very much, Kemi.
Pleasure, sir. You're welcome, sir.
My closing remarks.
Yes, please, sir.
Thank you so much. Let me thank the Permanent Secretary, the MD of NYSAL. I joined about 15 minutes into the program, and I think I also got a bit of education based on the questions that were asked and the feedback that came back. And I'm sure that most of our youth today have had better understanding of how the NYIF is operating. For those who have not applied, you will now stand a good chance of applying. For those who have applied, like the Permanent Secretary said, we're coming back to you. The emails will come to you. The next process will come to you. And I think that when you look at where we are now and when we started, you must give government and the ministry and the CBN and our partners, NYSAL, some credit. We've moved very quickly on what is completely a brand new program and initiative for our youth. And I believe, like the PS said, from next Monday, some will get emails, some will be moved to the next stage to submit their business plans. You will see a lot of action coming in. And as we wrap up the year, work will still be going on. So I urge for a bit of patience on the part of our youth. A couple of other questions came up on a few other programs and initiatives of government, which is exactly what this platform is for. We'll be bringing you people in key sectors that has to do with the youth and other sectors that is tangential to the Nigerian youth. Once again, I thank all our youth that have participated in this youth channel meeting today. Thank you most sincerely, and I ask you to tell other youth about it. And I look forward to the one we're going to have next Friday, which I want to assure you will be another very useful conversation where, of course, you can get needed answers, guidance, and perhaps even opportunities. Again, it's important to visit our website. The first website to visit is the ministry's website. Very important. The next one is the NYIF website, Nigerian Online Youth Assembly. And I assure you from these two websites, you can know what you're doing. You can also see opportunities. You can send us emails. And I'm sure together we can work together as partners to help our youth in youth development. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Some of the comments in the comment section, they're asking if next week we can bring on the team for survival fund, as they are some gray areas. Yes, sir. We've seen that question we've seen that on Twitter. We've seen it here again today. So I think they're very, very interested in speaking to Mr. Tola Johnson, number one, on this survival fund issue.
We'll bring Tola Johnson next week.
Okay, sir. Okay, so that's concluded. Thank you so much for that, sir. Thank you so much to the PERMSEC. Thank you so much to the Honorable Minister. Thank you so much to the MD NYSAL. Thank you to all the young people that have joined. We thank you so much. And once again, if you'd like to join our influencers group, please leave your name at the end of your name and number at the end of the, once we leave. Thank you so much to everybody. And that's it. So we'll be here again the exact same time next week, Friday, 11 a.m. Any comments, any questions you have, do leave them via Twitter. And also ensure you visit the chat room. We'll share the chat room link with you again, so you can also continue to partake in all the ministry's initiatives. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Friday, and do have a wonderful weekend. Goodbye, everyone.